If you want more conventional wisdom on management, this podcast isn't for you. Throw away your so-called accountability. Throw away those 80s cliches. This is the On Purpose Management Podcast.
Hello, and welcome again to the On Purpose Growth Podcast. Today we're talking management and leadership and being a business owner and what all of that means. And I'm going to hit on a topic that I think a lot of people struggle with, that I hear all the time from my clients, and you hear out there in the marketplace all the time, is I have a people problem. And it very rarely is stated that directly, but really what you hear is, why don't my people take more ownership or take more action? And why aren't they solving more problems? And why can't my people look more like me? And in forum groups and mastermind groups, what you'll hear a lot of times is simply, if I could just find another me. And I've got some bad news. One, there's a lot of people like you. They're called your competitors. They're business owners. Stop expecting employees to act like owners. It's not going to happen. And the idea that you can get a bunch of employees to act like owners has and is a little bit crazy. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't get them to act in the best interest of the company, and you can't get them to take ownership of what they're supposed to. But you aren't going to find another you. If there's another you, they would be starting a business. Stop repeating that request. Now, the other thing I will tell you, though, is that you do end up getting what you ask for. You get exactly what you expect. Now, it's not what you expect in your head. It's not what you say you expect. It's what your actions dictate you're asking for. It's what the system, the processes, the management principles, the structure of your employees, that is what dictates what you get when it comes to employees and employee actions. So that the moral and the big takeaway from here is, if you're getting a bunch of employees and you're getting a lot of turnover and you're losing engagement, and I hear it all the time, is how do we retain key employees? Or in today's day and age, how do we engage with millennials? And I think all of that is hogwash, because it's been no different for ages. It's not going to be any different in the coming generations. And the key thing, the key motivators that have motivated humans for a very, very, very long time. And so let's focus in on that. You get what you ask for, and what you ask for is dictated by your actions and the systems you create. So right now I'm going to cover the two operating theories that I've seen out there. The first is the carrot and stick, that if you put a carrot out there, aka commissions, aka bonuses, aka vacation times, all of these contests, that you can get the people to act in a way that you want them to. That external motivation is what drives people. This was a big belief, and it comes from B.F. Skinner. And just so people realize, B.F. Skinner never actually studied humans. He studied rats, and that's a big problem. And the theory states that people work hard because you pay them. They come to their job because there's a salary and a paycheck. The theory states that to get them motivated, you need to offer them a carrot and stick. And for others to do a great job, for others to do what you want them to, you need to control them. You need to set the policies. You need to give them guidelines and rules. And one of the most devastating ones that I hear in this theory is that you need to watch over them. And what the slogan is, you get what you expect and hold everyone accountable. And all of that is hogwash. That's one theory of motivation and why people work. Now, every time I bring this up, no manager, no owner, no professional, no leader says they believe in that. That, no, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. And then I start asking questions about how they've structured their work. Do you have time cards? Do you watch them hourly? Do you have set business hours? Yeah. Well, are you in customer service? Does somebody need to be answering the phone? No. Then why do you have those hours? Why are you dictating to other people when and how they should do their work? That's the first sign you believe in theory one. Two, do you have bonuses and commissions? Especially in sales, do you have commissions? And they always go, yeah. Oh, so that these people need external motivation then. You're believing in theory one if you have these things. Do you have performance improvement plans? Do you have something that says, okay, you're not doing your job, so the problem must be you, and guess what? If you don't change, you're going to get fired, or you're going to get a pay deduction, or you're going to get demoted, or you're not going to get that promotion. All of those things, all of those rules that you have there is operating on theory 1. If you have those things, whether you admit it or not, you believe in theory 1. And theory 1 states that people aren't motivated unless you as the leader motivate them. And I just think it's such an outdated methodology. Too many studies, too much examination of internal motivation shows that these things aren't true. People aren't motivated by external motivation. And I'm sorry, let me correct that. People are motivated by external motivation. However, it is a limited resource. If you're using external motivation to get people to move, it's going to always end poorly. You're not going to get the engagement you want. And in the end, you're going to get the employee turnover, whether the millennials or anyone else. So what's the other theory? The other theory states that people do have pride and people do want to do a good and great work. And this theory states that if you just get the fuck out of the way, they'll be able to do it. And everyone always says, yeah, that's what I believe in, except for they create structures, as we mentioned just a bit ago, that are built on theory 1. So how do you create a structure around theory 2 that gives people pride, that allows their pride of work to take over, that allows their internal motivations? And one of the things that I talk about is how do you design and manage a system where people are using their internal motivation? It is a lot more complex. It is a lot harder. You have to build in a lot more variation. So what does that actually look like? And a big thing that I tell people is, first and foremost, that means you're going to have to meet with the people you're leading and managing a lot more often. You're going to have to understand why they're there and what made them join this company and what is their long-term plans. And you're going to have to tie their work, what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, to those long-term plans. Second, you're going to have to give up control. The people on the ground, the people doing the actual work, know more than you do about the actual work. And if you want to have them have that sense of pride be their driving motivator, you have to turn over the control to them for how the work gets done. And your job no longer becomes one of dictation or control or monitoring or holding everyone accountable. And instead, you become a true servant leader. And what I mean by servant leader is that your job now becomes and should be focused on removing the obstacles that get in the way of a good job. I'm going to tell you this. One of the obstacles that gets in the way of salespeople doing a good job is commission. As crazy as that sounds, what you're doing is you're paying and you're putting a carrot at the end of the stick for your salespeople to oversell, to sell to people that don't need it, and always be under pressure to sell more and sell to different people. That is removing internal motivation and replacing it with external motivation. So, all of that said, you may not believe me. Very few people are willing to accept the fact that external motivation is way less powerful than internal motivation. And even when they do accept it, they're unwilling to follow through on what that means with their employees and what that means for the people that they're leading. They're unwilling to give up those actions. Let's say you're one of the rare people that is ready to do that. So the first thing that I'm going to tell you, the actions that you can take right now, take a deep breath and start reviewing the policies and the structures you currently have in place. Are they ones where you have control and you have to make the decisions? Are you controlling the budget and how obstacles get removed and what targets that they go after and how they go after them? Take a step back and start thinking, why can't I turn this control over to the team, to the individuals? Now, the second part of this that means is you're going to have to start communicating things and sharing things with them that are going to make you uncomfortable. What I mean by that is you're going to have to share some financials. You're going to have to share the structure of the company. You're going to have to share the vision and the mission and why you're doing the things you're doing. You can't just tell them what to do. You have to spend twice as much time making sure everybody understands the why so that they can dictate the what they're going to do. And when you start sharing these things, then you can trust them and they will start making decisions based against those priorities. And that's a big difference. As a manager, as a leader, you need to be firm and focused on the why and the what you're going to achieve, not the how it gets to be achieved. So start asking yourself those questions. Are you building a structure that uses money as a motivation tool? That's another one. Are you using commissions? Are you using bonuses to try to engage people to do more? if you're doing those things, don't expect your employees, don't expect them to be motivated by pride of work. Don't expect them to want to do quality work. Don't expect them to take ownership of things outside of the simple act that drives their commission and bonus. So don't expect them to do more than that, because you're replacing internal pride of work with external motivation of money. So the last 3 questions that I'm going to challenge yourself with, and I'm sorry, there's 4 questions. Do I hire smart, motivated people? And almost everybody I know says, yes, that's what they do. And within 3, 6, 9 months, those smart, motivated people aren't so smart and motivated anymore. So the real question here is, if you hire smart, motivated people, what the fuck are you doing to them in your structure that stops them from being smart and motivated if you have a turnover or people problem? The second question, do you create paths, systems, and a workplace structure that allows them to guide and control their work lives, their personal lives, and allows them to have a chance at control of their future? And a couple things that go with this is the idea that, one, you don't get to dictate what jobs they're doing. You don't get to take who their leaders are, who their managers are anymore. They start taking control of that. Oh, that's scary, I know. And everyone's going to say, then how do I hold people accountable and all of that? And my response is, don't worry, the team's going to do it for you. But you need to start looking at how you're creating career paths and passion paths, if you will, allowing them to turn a job into a career and a career into a passion. That's how you're going to inspire that motivation. But to do that, you have to meet with them regularly. You're going to have to understand what drives them. You're going to have to understand why they took the job and what's next for them. Now, the next question is, do you go the extra mile on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to give them an opportunity for growth? And I've had many clients say, yeah, well, we have things posted on the website that they can go attend. And I tell them to go out there and look. And we even have an employee budget for training and recruiting. They can spend $500 any way they want. And that's not enough. You as a manager, you as a leader have to be proactive in helping them walk through that. Once you did answer question 1 of what their career path is and what their passion path is, then step 2 is helping them design a growth path and a practice path and a development plan that allows them to start achieving that. You as the leader need to take proactive measures to be coaching them on a daily, weekly basis. You need to be working with them so they can be looking for those external resources. You need to help them with that. You need to be their coach, their guide there. Now, finally, the last thing I talk about and the last question I have is, how often do you tie every single task, every single job, every single career to the bigger purpose of the company? The companies that have highly engaged employees, have highly engaged people, have highly engaged recruiting where people are lining up at the doors, don't necessarily have to have a great big grand purpose. However, they do have to tie that purpose into everyone's jobs. And they do have to tie that individual's purpose to the bigger purpose. And if you do that, they'll be engaged. They'll see why and what they're doing, and they'll take ownership of those tasks, not to get the task done, but to achieve the outcome. Remember, the what you're trying to achieve is more important than the how it gets achieved. So if you focus on what really matters, which is the what you're achieving, and allow the people on the ground to focus on the how it gets done, you're going to start cooking in all directions. You're going to have people start taking ownership. The moral of the story, though, is you get what you ask for. And what you ask for isn't determined by what you say. It's determined by what you do and the structure you create. So start challenging yourself. Start looking internally at your company policies, your company structure, your organizational structure, and your organizational behavior to see if you're the one that's the problem in turning employee engagement away. If you're the problem in removing internal motivation and replacing it with external motivation. Until you start challenging yourself, you're basically asking for employees that are rule followers. You're asking for employees that are sitting there waiting for you to dictate what they do, and you can't expect them to take ownership.
Thanks for listening to the On Purpose Growth Podcast. Let us know what you thought in the comment section. For more from On Purpose Growth, go to onpurposegrowth.com. Subscribe here at BLTV for all of our content, including the daily Learn About Law podcast, Seize Your Business, Making Real Estate Fun, and Logical Logistics podcast, brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Thanks for listening.